Shweta Mataji to chant the prayers.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakheya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नाष्टाप्रियस्य अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. हरे कृष्णा.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we'll continue to read from the introduction. So yesterday reading that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been listening to this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is an impersonalist, and then without asking any question, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was listening. And then upon asked that why you are not asking anything, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I understand the Vedantas, but I do not understand your interpretations. Vedantas are like self-effulgent daylight sun, very clear. The kind of interpretation you are giving, I'm not able to grasp that. Okay, so that was the context. The Vedas inform us that he alone became many, and when he so desires, he glances over material nature. Before he glanced over material nature, there was no material cosmic creation. Therefore, his glance is not material. Material mind or senses were unborn when the Lord glanced over material nature. Thus, evidence in the Vedas proves that beyond a doubt the Lord has transcendental eyes and a transcendental mind. They are not material. His impersonality, therefore, is a negation of his materiality, but not a denial of his transcendental personality. Okay, now this is a very important point that all of us has to understand. So sometimes you see in the Vedantas and Upanishads and all that, the kind of description about the Supreme Lord has been given which sounds like impersonalism, like the Lord doesn't have any form, hands, legs, and like that. So Prabhupada is explaining that his impersonality, therefore, is a negation of his materiality. When Shastra describes, Upanishad says that apani pado javano grahita, like Lord does not have the hands, Lord does not have the legs, he doesn't have the ears, and like that kind of descriptions are there. So basically, the right understanding is that he does not have the hands and the legs and the form like all of us. We have the material form, material hands and legs, and everything is limited. Lord is not limited. So it's a negation of not his personal form, is a negation of uh, the materiality, right? Not a denial of his transcendental personality. Lord is a person, he has the form, but everything is transcendental. He's not material. So that is the understanding, right understanding. But this impersonalist, they read those description and they say, oh no, ultimately the Supreme Lord, he does not have any form. Ultimately it is some light, some energy, and we go and merge into that. So that is where the confusion is. They are confused and they confuse so many people like that. So this is the understanding. So this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was giving this kind of a description to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu couldn't relate with it. And that is why I was saying that, I understand the Vedantas, but what you are explaining, your interpretation is difficult for me to grasp. So this is the right understanding here. Okay. Brahman ultimately refers to the personality of Godhead. Impersonal Brahman realization is just the negative conception of the mundane creations. Paramatma is the localized aspect of Brahman within all kinds of material bodies. Ultimately, the Supreme Brahman realization is the realization of the personality of Godhead. According to all evidence of the revealed scripture, he is the ultimate source of Vishnu Tattvas. So, this is how we understand the Supreme Lord. In the scriptures, it is called the Absolute Truth, the Param Satya. If you remember, this is how this introduction began. There is a difference between the concept of God and the concept of Param Satyam, the absolute truth. It is not same, right? So God, Krishna is absolute truth, Param Satya, and he can be understood on the three different levels: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaneti, Sandhyade. So there is a Brahman level, like some of them they understand, some transcendentally understand that absolute truth as Brahman, like some kind of a effulgence. That is also right understanding, but it's a partial understanding, incomplete understanding. Then further somebody advances, then they understand he is not only just some light or some energy, but he is the localized aspects. He is sitting in everyone's heart. Lord is sitting in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma. So yeah, that is next level of understanding, but that is also not the complete understanding of the absolute truth. The complete understanding of the Param Satya is when we understand that beyond this Brahman, which is effulgence, beyond that is the Paramatma, but beyond the Paramatma feature also, there is a person. And that person is not some material person like all of us. He does not have any material form, but he is a transcendental personality. And that is what we call the Bhagwan. So when we understand the Bhagwan is a person, transcendental person, and that is the complete understanding of the absolute truth. That is the real understanding. But this impersonalists, they get stuck only on the Brahman level. The ultimate reality is just Brahman only, some light, some effulgence, like that. And they miss out on the realization of the transcendental feature of the Lord. But devotees are not interested in all this impersonal Brahman. They're only interested in the beautiful Sham Sundar form of the Lord, where you can relate with the Lord. Yeah, Lord also reciprocates, and you can also express your devotion, your love, to that form. If there is a form, you can dress that form, you can offer the food to the form. But if there's no form, there's no concept of person, then what do? You just sit in meditation, say Aham Brahmasmi. How long you will go on saying that Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi? That is true. Aham Brahmasmi means I am Brahman. But how long you will go on telling this I am Brahman? You'll get bored. And that is why all this impersonalists, even reaching a high stage, they can still fall down. There is a risk of falling down because there's no enjoyment, there is no bliss. But a devotee, from the very beginning, he start chanting Krishna's name, start singing Kirtan, start discussing about Krishna's pastimes, beautiful pastimes, and then, you do a lot of seva to Krishna in any form like cooking, cleaning, and then dressing. So much engagement is there, and it's very natural state for a living entity to be engaged in this kind of a loving devotional service. So, if somebody has not reached a very advanced stage of realization in the process of bhakti yoga, still you can enjoy the process. There's so much joy, like you just come in kirtan, sit in the kirtan, you can feel the ecstasy. You eat nice prasadam, you feel so wonderful, right? You have the beautiful darshan of Krishna, and you are overjoyed by just looking at the beautiful darshan of the Lord and like that. And then on top of that, if you get some seva too, make some garlands and some dress or clean the temple or whatever way we can do. So that is what is our original real constitutional position. And that is when we derive the real bliss, the real pleasure. So this is the highest realization of the absolute truth, which is the Bhagwan realization. Okay. Now, devotees can take the turns. Let me call out some names. Okay, I'm not sure who is SKS iPad. You want to read? Okay, call out. Okay, Divya Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The Purans are also supplementary to the Vedas. The Vedic mantras are too difficult for an ordinary man. Women, Shudras, and the so-called twice-born higher castes are unable to penetrate into the sense of the Vedas. And thus, the Mahabharata as well as the Purans are made easy to explain the truths of the Vedas. In his prayers before the boy Sri Krishna, Brahma said that there is no limit to the fortune of the residents of Rajbhumi, headed by Sri Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, because the eternal absolute truth has become their intimate relative.
Yeah, so this is Prabhupada is quoting from Brahmaji's prayer. So Brahmaji is praying in front of that young, Krishna was still a boy. So this is from the Brahma Bhimavan Leela that Brahmaji got bewildered by Krishna's magic, Krishna's tricks. So he goes and bow down to Krishna, who is still a young boy, and he says that, I can't even begin to conceive that how fortunate this Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai are, because the Supreme Brahman, the Krishna himself, he's been playing in their courtyard of Nanda Maharaj as their son, you know. So this is what is the highest level of realization wherein somebody can have the relationship with God as their son, as their friend, as their lover, and like that. So this is what is the real conclusion of all the scriptures. But when this impersonalists, when they give the interpretations, and they just kind of cover that understanding, the whole meaning is eclipsed by their interpretation. Okay, so next, Bala, go.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The Vedic mantra maintains the absolute truth, has no legs and no hands, and yet goes faster than all and accepts everything that is offered to him in devotion. The later statements definitely suggest the personal features of the Lord, although his hands and legs are distinguished from mundane hands and legs or other senses.
You read one more.
Brahman, therefore, is never impersonal. But when such mantras are indirectly interpreted, it is wrongly thought that the absolute truth is impersonal. The absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is full of all opulences, and therefore he has a transcendental form of full existence, knowledge, and bliss. How then can one establish that the absolute truth is impersonal?
Okay, so I think we discussed that, and I was quoting that verse, Apani Pado Javanograhita. That is what Prabhupada is saying that, the description like he has no legs and no hands and go faster than and accept everything like that. So these are the kind of descriptions given, and these people interpret that now is ultimately impersonal. But Lord is not impersonal, but he is he has a transcendental form of. Okay, you should be all familiar with all these terms when we say this transcendental form of full existence, knowledge, and bliss. What is this form is called? Anybody?
Satchitananda.
Yes. So this is what is we hear the word right. Lord is Satchidananda Swarup. Sat means eternity. He is eternally existing. Chit means he is full of knowledge. He knows present, past, future. And Anand means he is full of bliss. So that is what is the personality of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the right understanding. Like the Mayavadi they interpret. Okay. Next, let me just, maybe some people missed yesterday. Shubhri, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Brahman, being full of opulences, is understood to have manifold energies, and all these energies are classified under three headings under the authority of Vishnu Purana, which says that transcendental energies of Lord Vishnu are primarily three: his spiritual energy and the energy of the living entities are classified as superior energy, whereas the material energy is an inferior one which is sprouted out of ignorance.
Okay. So here it is said that primarily three, right? So what are that? Anyway, I think it will come in one of the paragraph. Let us just wait for that. I'm not bring it here now. Okay, next. Somebody, okay, who should read? Just go ahead, someone, Padma Mataji. Padma Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
You want me? Okay.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
The energy of the living entities is technically called
Kshetragya energy.
Kshetragna energy. The Kshetragna Shakti, although equal in quality with the Lord, becomes overpowered by the material energy out of ignorance and thus suffers all sorts of material miseries. In other words, the living entities are located in the marginal energy between the superior, the spiritual, and the inferior, the material energies. And in proportion to the living beings' contact with either the material or the spiritual energies, the living entity is situated in proportionately higher and lower levels of existence.
Okay. Okay, so basically, this is quoted from the Vishnu Puran that the Supreme Lord has like three different kind of energies. It can be understood and discussed and explained in different ways. So one simple way of saying that is, what are those three energies? One is called the superior energy, one is inferior energy, right? And in between, there is a marginal energy. So uh, external energy, internal energy, and the marginal energy called the Tatastha Shakti. So living entity, all of us, we have been described as the Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha means which is on the Tat. Tat means like on the bank, so on the border. So you can go this side also and you can go this side also. So living entities are like that. Depends on our inclination. We can go towards spiritual energy. When we come into Krishna consciousness, start practicing, we go towards that side. And we are not, then we can fall this side also, all materialistic life. So this is one way of explaining this three different energies of the Lord. But also there is a different technical way of explaining this. Samved Shakti, Sandhini Shakti, and then Haladini Shakti, which we'll read more and we'll discuss more. So basically the crux of the reading here is what is happening. It's an important aspect to understand because there's a lot of confusion and there's, many people that talk, they give big lectures and big scholars and big sadhus. But ultimately they boils down everything to this impersonalism, which is a bogus concept, which is not supported by Bhagavad Gita, which is not supported by the Bhagavatam. Again, when I'm saying it is not supported in terms of that is what is the complete absolute truth, Param Satyam. That is a partial truth about that absolute truth, Param Satya. So they think no, ultimate reality is that impersonal Brahman, that at the end of the day, we all go and merge into that. And their interpretation is, then if somebody will ask, okay, if that is the ultimate reality, that Brahman, that light, that energy, then what about all these forms like Ram, Krishna, Vishnu, and so many different forms and all of that, and then deity worship in the temple and the forms. So their interpretation is that those who are neophytes, those who cannot directly relate with that impersonal aspect, then they need some form to connect to start with. So it's kind of a intermediate stage wherein you are not advanced enough to directly think of that Brahman. So then you imagine some form and then you worship that form, and then by doing that you get purified. And gradually, once you get purified and you become advanced enough, then you can directly go to that Brahman. So this is a bogus interpretation. This is called the Mayavadi interpretation. That is not the understanding in the scriptures. So basically, what they're saying is this worship of the personal form is uh, subordinate or it's lower. Ultimately, the highest is the Brahman. But the Bhagavatam is saying just opposite, saying Brahmeti, Paramatmati, Bhagwaneti. The Bhagwan realization is the highest realization, wherein we realize that okay, ultimately God is also a person, but also we understand God is not a person like you and me, some material body, with all this limited energies, limited abilities, and Lord is unlimited. He is Satchidananda Swarup. So that is the understanding. And that Satchidananda Swarup, when you talk about, Lord is effulgent like millions of suns. So that effulgence which is coming out from the body of the Lord is that Brahma effulgence. whom this Mayavadis, the impersonalists, meditate upon. So they get stuck only there. Their vision is blurred by that light, that effulgence, because they're not yet ready. But if they get in touch and they get the blessings of some devotee of the Lord, then from there they can advance further. And from Brahman, they can also understand that, oh, this Brahman, the source of this Brahman is actually the Lord. This Brahman is coming from the Lord. It is Lord's bodily effulgence. So this is the understanding, a very important concept, because sometimes it's very confusing. A lot of people will be talking a lot of things around this. So hope it is clear. Anybody's any quick question related to this, or any clarification or any addition?
Prabhuji, the first chapter, the first paragraph that I read, it said again the women and Shudras don't understand this knowledge. Can you please clarify a little bit on that point?
Yes. Okay. So yeah, it requires a little more detailed discussion, but I'll still explain that brief as possible. So they don't understand. There is a reason behind that why it's not like they cannot understand. But the point is, so far, it's like, let me explain in this way. Our body is like a yantra. As Krishna explained, this is a machine. And different machines are designed for different purposes. Like, think of a car. Different cars. One is high speed car, one is like average car or something like that. So it is not condemned that, oh, this car is useless. That is not the point. But some car can run on, say, 200 miles per hour, but other car cannot run on that. So there is a different abilities because there is a different mechanism inside. There is a different circuit inside. So in the women's body, the design, the circuit is slightly different than the man's body. Again, it is not very straight like that to understand, but trying to explain through these examples. So women psychology and their construct in general is they're very emotional by design. Right? So they go by the emotions and they get stuck. So that is why Krishna says that, okay, this is very difficult sometimes for them to understand certain things. But then, if you carefully read, that is 9.32 in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, even those people are also, can get the mercy of the Lord, though they are limited in their abilities because of their design, their circuit, and that is how the Lord has created. There's nothing like inferior or superior. Sometimes all those kind of ideas comes. Oh, basically, your shastras are saying that women are less intelligent and they're inferior, and you are trying to like exploit them or suppress the women. That is how these scriptures are, basically encouraging that idea. No, that is not the understanding. It is basically educating us. Okay, there are two different machines, and the machines are designed for two different purposes. But Krishna is saying if somebody is in the body of a woman also, Shudra also, or Vaishya also, still they have the opportunity to come to that level. Right. So in general, it is difficult for them, but still it is possible to get the mercy if we are rightly educated about all that. So that is the simple thing I can say at this point. I don't know like if I answered your question or not, but yeah, that requires a little more detailed discussion. It's a little controversial topic. From Bhagavad Gita many times people say, oh no, why Bhagavad Gita is saying women are less intelligent. So it is not less intelligence in terms of like certain abilities that, oh, they're not smart enough, they're not capable enough. That is not the understanding. There are different types of intelligence actually. If you go further down, and now even the modern, these philosophers and some other people, they figured out like there are different types of intelligence. Like emotional intelligence. Women are very, very smart. They can read, understand, process the emotions much better than any man in the world. So their intelligence is emotional intelligence. But because of the emotions, they might sometimes get stuck. They can't think logically and very objectively because they go by emotions. So then you say, okay, no, you are stuck there. So when we talk about the intelligence is what? See, any kind of intelligence you talk about, you can say that there are two things about intelligence. One is the vocabulary, and one is the speed, the agility, right? That is what defines that this person is intelligent or not. Like, say coding. So somebody like very expert, he knows this code, right? Type this, type that. This is like the vocabulary. And also when the person keep doing so much, then he becomes very super fast. He does all those things. That is agility. Then you say, oh, this person like super smart. He just write the codes and do like very fast. There might be another person who is like very slow. So I'm bringing this understanding to explain the point that women are emotionally not agile. Like they get stuck with emotions, and this is the nature of the women. This is how they're designed, and there is a purpose behind that design. There's nothing like this is inferior, but this is how the design is. When they're stuck. Then you explain how much ever you want to explain, they can't move forward. So in that context, it comes like they're less intelligent emotionally, like that. That
Thank you.
answers the question.
Yes, Prabhuji, and we can discuss further on it later. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, anybody's interested in learning this topic about why these women are less intelligent side and something like that, send me a personal message. I'll forward you one link. I've taken a session on this. Half an hour session, I'll forward you. Maybe that will give you a little more understanding of this topic. Okay.
I have a question actually.
Yes.
So it is mentioned that his spiritual energy and the energy of the living entities are classified as superior energy, whereas the material energy is an inferior one, which is sprouted out of ignorance, right? So where is that ignorance coming from, basically?
Ignorance is coming from, the simple answer is when you say, oh, there is a darkness. What is darkness? How do you define darkness? Anybody want to answer?
Absence of light.
Yes, very simple. Right? The absence of light is darkness. So what is ignorance? Is the absence of knowledge, is ignorance. So when we forget Krishna, that is when we become ignorant. So this forgetfulness of Krishna, the jiva misuse his free will, misexercise the free will, that is when he becomes ignorant, and because of that ignorance he generates something, and that is inferior. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna will read more.